set of circumstances we're just put through. Because I mean, the way I see it right now is that it was like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and then Pepsi just failed. Like it's like that big in the NFT, or not NFT space, the Web3 space in general. And I was just like, damn, it was just weird, because you saw all these tweets from Sam Bankman-Fried, like, or Sam, and just that they lying through their teeth in a lot of things. And it was just like, damn, like, it's like they say all these things on Twitter, and it's just like, oh no, it's okay, like we're gonna be all right. Like, I remember he tweeted something about like, oh, there's these random rumors hopping up, I don't know what they're talking about, we're totally fine, this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, they're $8 billion in debt. And it's like, what the fuck?
So that's the other funny thing. First, there's a lot to say, but the first thing is that it's now as high as between 20 and $50 billion if you include Alameda. So every day it's gone up. It started at about 3. Everyone said it's about a 3 billion hole, and that was when CZ was looking at it. Then it's like it's more like 6, then it's 8, then it's 10, and then today, with all that's transcribed, they're putting it, a Bloomberg article put it between 10 and 50 billion, which is absolutely crazy. So I think something really important to the viewers, who my priority is always with the viewers all the time, always has been, is if you have any money on any exchanges in any capacity, to be extra safe, I would pull it off. I tweeted this a week ago in my Discord. I've told this a week ago. If there's anyone watching either live or is going to be watching afterwards, if you have a cent anywhere, I would take it off. Take it off an exchange, get a hardware wallet, hold it in your hardware wallet. Like we say, not your keys, not your coin. And we've seen that here. Just to put this in perspective, FTX was either the second or the third biggest crypto exchange, depending when you looked at it. So Binance has been holding the top spot, and you had FTX at number 2 or number 3. If they can fail, anyone can fail. Yes, we know that we're finding out, and slowly we're finding out, because there's a lot we don't yet know. We're finding out what happened a little bit. But if they can fail, anybody can fail. That's the truth of the matter. So you gotta make sure that you take anything that you have off anywhere that you have it. That's number 1. Number 2 is that you got to know that this too will pass. Right? So in the end of the day, we saw this with the railroads. We saw this with all new innovation, that there were people that came in that had bad intentions into an amazing technology, and people got wrecked, absolutely wrecked. So this does not change the Web3 the positive sides of Web3 and what Web3 has to offer. Unfortunately, it does set us back years, because consumer trust is going to take a long time to recover from this. There's a lot of people, and my heart goes out to anyone that's lost or may lose money, had money in FTX. There's going to be a lot of people that never step foot in crypto space at all again as a result of this, and you can't blame them. And I think the biggest risk that we have now is the contagion risk. The amount of different projects and different institutions that are going to come out as being reliant on Alameda, that are going to slowly start failing. And we saw a near miss today with Bored Ape Yacht Club, who Alameda Research did sponsor or invest in, and they came out and said, look, a few days ago we managed to move the money that we did have on FTX off FTX. They initially said they had nothing on there, and then they came back, they said actually they did, but they moved it a few days ago, right? So they just dodged a bullet, but they have 90 people working for them with their finger on the pulse. I'm sure that there are many NFT projects, DeFi projects that had money sitting there, which was not irresponsible to have it on a reputable exchange, that are now in big trouble, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate. It's just like exactly what you said. I don't know. Did you see the statement that CZ put out?
Yeah, I'm gonna take you through all of that, but we can talk about it now. But I'm gonna take you through all of it. I've got it all here.
No, because you kind of touched on it, which was the main part, which is like no one's winning right here. It's just like, damn, like it really is gonna set us back. But you did say at the same time that the trajectory of the Web3 space is still gonna go up, and like you said, every great technology comes with people that are just gonna try to, they're gonna try to take advantage of it. And I mean, I was actually talking to my buddy the other day, NFT for Noobs, if you're familiar with him. He was telling me that he was reading an article about how banking system came about, and pretty much when banks came around, like it wasn't like they were just like, hey, we're banks and now we're established. It was like a ton of banks businesses failed to the point where we have Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and like Fidelity as like, you know, investment banker. Like, but there was a lot of banks before them that failed, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. It's not the same type of trust that they have now.
Yeah, and we saw that with everything, with the internet, the same thing. I mean, we all know the internet bubble and the bust there. The railroad was massive because you had so many companies coming in and doing it, and then you left with one or two now, right? But railroads have changed the world, literally. And I feel the internet has changed the world, and I feel that Web3 is going to change the world and is changing the world. But this is part of being early, and I know it's cliche and I hate saying it, but it is. It's part of being early. There are going to be bad players in everything that you do, but especially in a new technology like this, right? But I still can't believe it. I cannot believe it. FTX, to me, I hear FTX, and I just think to myself, safety. And I think to myself, yeah, I mean, I really, if you had asked me 5 weeks ago or a month ago, Philip, I've got some money, should I put it on Binance or FTX? Is it safe? I was like, put it on either of them, but they're safe, you know.
I would tell you differently, because I've seen this before. I mean, especially when Celsius went under, and then there's been just a lot of stuff, and it's just like, honestly, I always tell everybody, get your shit off those platforms. Like, I remember when I got my mom on this stuff, I was like, get it off Coinbase. And it wasn't that, it was like, I just don't trust them, because it's things like this that can happen. So it's just like, they're speculating that crypto.com, or at least I'm speculating that crypto.com could be next because of Alameda.
They've already come out today. There's some problems there. Yeah. I don't know if the site went down or if they're stopping stuff. They're not accepting USDT. Yeah, but the crypto.com is definitely linked to it. So I think let's push pause and let's jump into, let's give a very brief history, because there's been a lot of coverage on this. Let's just show what's going on and what's happening, right? So it started here. If we're looking over here, this is the 8th of November. So, all right. So the first thing, before this started, there's been a long feud between SBF and CZ. SBF is the founder of FTX, or was the founder of XTS. CZ is the founder of Binance. Binance invested early on in FTX, and was part of that investment was they got $2 billion worth of FTT token, which is the token that is FTX's ecosystem token, right? Now, a couple of days before this, SBF and CZ were sparring backwards and forwards a bit on Twitter. And then CZ came out and said, look, they're going to be liquidating their $2 billion worth of FTT token. And that started sparking a whole lot of worry in the space. And then we saw this tweet here where SBF came out. He said, I've got a few announcements to make. Things have come full circle. FTX.com's first and last investors are the same. We have come to an agreement on a strategic transition with Binance for FTX.com. Our teams are working on clearing out withdrawal backlog as is. This will clear out liquidity crunches. All assets will be covered one-to-one, which we now know is bullshit. This is one of the main reasons that we asked Binance to come in. It may take a bit to settle, etc. We apologize for that. The important thing is that customers are protected. A huge thank you to CZ and so on and so forth. Then we had CZ come out the same time and say, this afternoon, FTX asked for our help. There's a significant liquidity crunch. To protect users, we signed a non-binding LOI, a letter of intent, intending to fully acquire FTX.com and help cover the liquidity crunch. We'll be conducting a full DD in the coming days. Okay, so here you've got two different tones. You've got SBF almost saying a deal is done. He did say that they are still pending a DD over here, due diligence, but pretty much saying that it's done. Right. And then you've got CZ saying, hold on, we want to try and help for the user's sake. However, we're looking into it and we will let you know. So I think everyone in the space was a little bit uncertain because they thought, okay, there is a chance that, things are bad at FTX by this point and that the due diligence will uncover some stuff. But everyone was sort of hoping that this would go through for the sake of the space.
Yeah.
So let me pause there and get your take.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree, bro. 100%.
Yeah.
Because there was a sense of security. Honestly, that's kind of how Sam Bankman-Fried like gained his rep. Was when things were going under. It was like, oh, I'm the big dog. I'm just gonna keep saving people. I forgot
So
who they acquired.
he saved Voyager was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one that I also can't remember, but yeah, exactly right.
And yeah, and it just made him look like the big dog, and it was just like, oh man, there's gonna be a savior. Like this isn't gonna hurt the market, because it's like, damn man, we just keep getting hurt over and over again by just irresponsible actions. Really, I mean, at the end of
Yeah.
the day, these were. I forgot who said it. It was like employees there, that these were pretty much just kids living in the Bahamas and all working together. And it's not they couldn't have been organized, because I mean what they were doing essentially, they were just playing with people.
Andres, I'm missing your mic. Every time you touch it, it goes like really static, really, really static. But when you
What
don't
about right
touch
now?
it, yeah, perfect. When you don't touch it, perfect. But as
Good
you
to
raise
know.
your hand each time, it's going static. So I know it's like force of habit, but it's like bad static. So
Oh, dang.
try not
Thanks a
to.
lot. Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but thanks for that.
You were saying they're young kids living in the Bahamas.
Yeah, they were just like young kids and living in the Bahamas, and it's just like it just makes the space look so bad, because there is somewhat truth to that, and within the Web3 space, that there is a lot of kids that are just new to the space, and they are just pretty much they have to. I mean, dude, he had billions and billions of dollars, like he was really taking care of people at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and like playing with people's like life savings. Like, I mean, there was one screenshot on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it. It was circling around. It's like $900,000 or somebody had an FTX, and it's just like that's gone,
Yeah.
just gone.
So the interesting thing is that when and we'll get to where we're at the moment, but when they do look at it, they will try to see what assets they are, and typically, even though it's a long process, we do see that there is often recovery after many years, and I think it's the Mount Gox where we actually saw that because the Bitcoin increased so much over the 5 or 10 years that it took them to figure out, they've got now more than enough to pay everyone 1-to-1. Which is quite incredible, right? Because it took so long and the asset appreciated. And while, like at this point now that they've filed, FTX has filed bankruptcy, and we'll get there, no one can touch what they do have. So, and we'll look at what they do have. So they've got Solana, they've got all these tokens worth lots of money. And by the time these guys finish winding up and the attorneys come in, Solana could have 10x'd, and everyone might get their money back. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot that needs to happen, but in the end of the day, hopefully there will be some happy stories at the end of this. But it is too terrible to see what's happened over here.
Yeah, and Solana right now, I believe they're releasing is it 80,000 or 800,000 Sol? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so they said we're actually gonna look at that, but then they said it was going to be paused, and then they said they are again. So I'm not 100% sure if it has or it hasn't, but we're literally going to be diving deep into. But I haven't told you, I haven't told the viewers. So let's just do it. We're going through the story of what happened this week, all the way until we get to the point, and as briefly as possible, because most people know, but still giving you a good idea if you don't, to the point where we are right now. Okay, then we're going to have a look at that and say, okay, what is the effect of this on other companies held under the Alameda umbrella? Because there are 137 companies that are put into liquidation. Which one of those could affect the crypto market? Which one of those could affect the NFT market? And that's going to lead us very deeply into Solana and the future of Solana and how this impacts. Because we had SBF holding 10%, or roughly 10% of Solana's tokens are held by SBF, right? So that's a huge amount. I think the fact that it's been put into bankruptcy at this point, if he hasn't sold them already, he in theory, he doesn't have access to them anymore because he's resigned, and they've brought in, the bankruptcy lawyers and things like that. So hopefully those tokens are now safe, and that's probably good news because it's going to take them a long time to figure all of this out. And we're going to look at it. Then we're going to look at the viewer questions that we had. We had some really interesting questions, which are cool. If you had 10 Ethereum, just so you can start thinking, Andreas, if you had 10 Ethereum and you could buy 3 NFTs at the moment, which would you buy? So NFT Nate asked us that, right? And we're going to figure that out. The nice thing about this week, the good news, is that 10 ETH can buy us a lot more nice NFTs than it could a week ago because of the floor prices. So you and I are both going to look at that live. I don't know the answer. I've got some ideas, but I don't know the answer. Then we got CryptoDream as well, who asked about Solana NFTs. So literally the Solana debate is going to feed straight into that. And then we're going to look at a couple of interesting news stories as well. So that's the progression for everyone. And yeah, that's where we're going. That's the journey. Maybe I should have started with that, right? All right. So now we had, this is the 9th of November, so 2 days ago, catching you guys up. And it says, as a result of the corporate due diligence, as well as all the latest news reports regarding mishandled customer funds and alleged US agency investigations, we've decided that we will not pursue the potential acquisition of FTX. What happened at this point was, this is when the crypto markets crashed. This is when all the floor prices crashed. And this is when I tweeted out, you should be buying NFTs when there's blood on the streets. When people are greedy, be fearful. And when people are fearful, be greedy. And I did buy a couple at that time, which I'll share with you guys. But yeah, so that came out. Binance is no longer able to buy it. I think most people feel that if Binance won't do it, that there isn't anyone who would do it responsibly. So anyone who is responsible that has this amount of money, $10 billion at the very least, why would they put that into something when FTX's reputation has really been very badly tarnished, right?
I agree 100%. It's at this point, it's like you don't even know who to trust. I know CZ seems like, I personally have always been a big fan of CZ. I think he's funny. I think he's actually really smart, and he's always trying to put the people first, and he's done well at presenting himself like that. I don't know if you ever saw that tweet during Super Bowl, which made me like even more bullish on him, because it was like, it was very interesting insight. And it was something like calling out, I think it was crypto.com, but it was more shade. Like, it wasn't like a direct ad tweet, but it was pretty much, hey, we decided not to, it was a hard decision, but we decided not to invest in Super Bowl ads, not buy an arena, not buy this, that, and the other, so we could build and focus on what's important. And then at that point, I forgot, I think it was crypto.com that had to lay off like 10,000 people or something like that, or I forgot who it was, so don't quote me on that. But on that day, Binance was hiring like 2,000 more people, which was pretty interesting, And, it's
also
like,
another dig at SBF by CZ,
yeah,
because they had the same advert. FTX had that the huge advertising that year.
I mean, look at that. Like, I was wondering, no one's really talked about it, but what's going to happen to FTX Arena in Miami? Like, what?
So they'll sell it. Everything's all the assets will be sold to pay off the people that are owed money. The unfair thing, and this is really unfair, is that the consumers fall last. The users of the exchange are last in that hierarchy. So the first people that have to be paid off in this circumstance are the people that the company owes money to. So other companies. Then you have to pay off the shareholders, which is unfair. That should not be the case. And then only whatever's left is when you pay off the consumers. And, that could be anything from cents to the dollars to the full amount, like we said in some cases with crypto, where that crypto appreciated. So it's going to be really interesting to see what is left after everything and how bad it is. The problem is, I think that it's a lot worse. Is that you? Not touching. All right, let's see.
Is it static?
Yeah, bad. Like,
here, I got an idea. Keep running your show. I got an idea. I'm gonna mute myself.
All right, try. All right. So then let's get into where we are now. Okay. All right. So we come have a look here. Let's share the screen. All right. So then we have Binance coming out yesterday and saying, look, we're publishing our cold wallet addresses and balances for 6 out of the 600 coins, more to come. They're showing you what their holdings are: 4,750 Bitcoin, 4.8 million Ethereum, 17.6 billion USDT, 21.7 billion BUSD, 601 million USDC, and 58 BNB. These were public before anyway, but just organized together for your ease of viewing. And they going this saying, look, we want to be transparent. What's interesting is that after this tweet, a lot of other exchanges have come forward and said that they will be also providing Merkle proofs of proof of funds, right? Proof that if you deposited money into their exchange and you want your money back together with everyone else at the same time, this is how they intend to repay you. Because that's effectively what has happened here with FTX, is that they were lending out the money that people had deposited with them for safekeeping, despite them saying that they weren't doing that. They were lending out that money to get funding and using that funding to invest in other companies and other things that they should never have used the client's money to secure the loans to be able to do what they were doing. So now what we're seeing is Binance, as well as some other exchanges, coming out and say, look, we're going to be giving our Merkle proofs, which is basically, to keep it very, very simple, on-chain proof of wallet addresses that you can view that show you, okay, Philip deposited, here's his address. Put that address in and you'll be able to see where they hold Philip's 1 ETH that he deposited. And you can do that with every single address through this. So that's what the Merkle proof is. And I think long run, this is what it always should have been, to be very honest. And I think long run that this will hold the whole space in good stead, right? And really be positive for the space that the lenders are doing this, and being transparent about it. So hopefully it's going to lead to that. We then have this tweet by SBF, also the 10th of November. He says, I'm sorry. Number one, I'm sorry. That's the biggest thing. I fucked up and should have done better. Now, first of all, I think it is possibly a mistake to apologize. I mean, I just know insurance companies have always, my dad told me, never, when I was young, if you're in a car accident, never ever apologize to the other driver, even if you were completely wrong, because the insurance company may not pay the insurance claim if you had said, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Because then you're admitting a liability and they can't fight it. So I don't think that this is clever, that he starts off by saying, I'm sorry. I really don't, and I fucked up. I really think that this is going to come back to bite him. I think he's got bigger issues than admitting guilt. I mean, I think it's pretty easy to see that he's done wrong. But either way, he says, I also should have been communicating more very recently. Transparently, my hands have been tied during the duration of the possible Binance deal. I wasn't particularly allowed to say much publicly, but of course it's on me that we ended up here in the first place. Number 3, here's an update of where things are. Just remember, this was 24 hours ago. Hey, this is all about the FTX International, the non-US exchange. FTX users are fine. Now, that is not true anymore. FTX US has also been put into bankruptcy. Then we've got here, treat all these numbers as rough, they're approximate. FTX International currently has a total market value. So, okay, it goes on to say a whole bunch of rubbish that's actually painful knowing what we know now to read. Right, more's going to come out in the next 2 days. And yeah, so that was his whole tweet thread at that stage. Andreas, are you back there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, and there hasn't been any noise. I thought you were still muted. It's been so quiet.
Oh no! So was it static the whole time, man?
No. So once in a while, it would become like unbearably static, like really bad.
It was probably the XLR cable that I had through the Gator frameworks thing. So I'll definitely check up on that. But yeah, no, I put in a brand new XLR cable and just a different stand for right now.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Awesome.
Awesome. Anything you want to add at this point, or should we carry on?
No, I don't. There was one thing that you said, but I don't remember. I don't want to backtrack too much.
No worries at all. All right. So I don't know why this tweet's unavailable. I hate that. I hate when something that I've researched gets deleted. I hate
I
that.
always wonder why people delete
I
their
don't.
tweets.
Here it is. Here it is. That's weird. So this is now today. Hi all. Why start with hi? I don't know. Whatever. I'm really just pissed off with him.
Yeah,
Today,
his message was just bad, man.
yeah,
The way, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Like even with what you said with the admitting
the
guilt, it was
sorry.
like, dude,
Yeah.
like we all know you screwed up. That's like, I feel like this
Do you
public
know?
statement should have been like written by like his PR
Yeah.
team.
For sure. The other thing that's really upsets me about all of us, me included, is in hindsight now, it's so easy to say and see the way he writes and think why didn't anyone question and ask for proof of funds? But I was like looking up to SBF as this amazing, guy, 30 years old, a billionaire, revolutionized crypto, has built an absolute empire.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sort of angry with myself also. And like I just can't believe I actually can't believe it, to be really honest. The whole situation, I cannot believe what has happened.
It's super unfortunate, man. I almost don't even have like an explanation for it, just because it's like, how could you mismanage funds so bad? Like like the whole thing that he took pride in himself on was being transparent, and not lending out or playing around with people's money. And it was just like, okay, cool. But at the end, it was just like, how many more times are we gonna get burnt? And to be honest, it sucks, but I don't think this is the last time that this is gonna happen
Well, that's the
to an
point,
exchange.
is that I think all of us need to learn our lessons and not take anything on face value. And just because a guy says, "Oh, I promise you your funds are safe," don't believe it. Don't believe it. You want to see proof. Even this Binance tweet that we showed, it's a great start, but show us the proof. Show us proper proof of it. Give us cold wallets. He does say the wallet addresses are public, great, and he says there's more to come. Let's ask him when more is coming. Let's look when he brings more. Let's keep an eye on these
Oh
wallets.
yeah, that was one of the things
Yeah,
that you were talking about. Yeah, that was exactly right. It would be cool if they actually are constantly doing that with the world and just posting
yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey, I saw you looking up like a certain website where you could look it up or something, or like they posted it publicly. But that kind of stuff definitely will make a lot of people feel a lot more safe. At least we're like watching where's the money, like what's going on. Like that's one of the things that's interesting about Web3 is the amount of transparency. I don't think there should be as much as transparency as there is, but it's at this point I feel like we need some sort of, especially if you're going to hold your money in a what is it, in
an
an
exchange.
centralized exchange. I think that
Yeah,
they need to have that stuff public for sure,
yeah. And here
because
they
it's like,
have
hey, we can back
Binance
it
has
up.
done it here. Yeah, I mean, here's the wallet addresses. Again, don't just accept this. Let's click on it and let's have a look, right? But I mean, you sort of take things at face value. And I think a good lesson from this is that you can't. You can't take anything at face value. I see. I logged into my account by mistake, Andreas. Can you imagine? I mean, yes, 252,000
No big deal.
Bitcoin in this wallet.
Trying to see it. Oh, there we
Wow,
go.
incredible. So good for him. Good for him. He's at Binance. He's published all their different wallets here. I don't know that this is an exclusive list, but definitely a great start. And I'm sure, knowing guys in the space, that there will be live trackers now set up on these wallets that you'll be able to go to a website in the coming weeks, and it will show you live, exactly how much there is on every single one. Not on a Binance.com, but a third party, so that it can't be juked or anything like that, right? All right, so then we have him here. We have new FTX CEO. So okay, hold on. So now we say they all start with "I'm sorry, I fucked up," right? So I'm getting lost here because they
You're
all
good.
started
It's a
with the
lot.
same
It's a lot,
thing.
man. It's a lot for sure. I don't know. I'm kind of
Yeah,
just like
we've seen
I'm
this.
over this. It's like, and then I
Yeah,
woke up to the news today. Did you? I think you already touched on it, but you haven't said it on like a pull up that they went bankrupt and that he stepped down
yeah.
finally. And it's just like,
So
damn.
that's exactly it. So this is the one that I'm looking for. Here's where we were up to. Okay, So we say hi. He says, hi all. Today I filed FTX, FTX US, and Alameda for voluntary Chapter 11 proceedings in the US. Number two, I'm really sorry again that we ended up here. Hopefully things can find out whatever. Number three, this doesn't necessarily have to mean the end of the companies. It really does. Let's just be honest. Or their ability to provide value or funds to their customers. It really does. I'm sorry to say. Number four, I'm going to work out giving clarity on where things are in terms of user recovery. Again, this is just showing that he's got no experience whatsoever, which is incredible to think
Yeah,
he was running a 36.
everything he's saying
He's
is full of shit.
he's not allowed to. He's not allowed to. After this, now he is not allowed to communicate anymore with users at all. Once you've stepped down and you've now handed this over to the lawyers, you are not allowed to communicate with customers. So this in and of itself, I don't think he did it on purpose, but this in and of itself is potentially a crime. I don't know the laws in America, but I know here that if you pick up the phone to a customer and speak on behalf of a company that you've just put into voluntary bankruptcy, you are doing a crime. You are not allowed to contact companies that you deal with. You're not allowed to contact customers. You're not allowed to do anything. You can't interfere. You got to let them do their work. So this is also just showing that either he knows nothing at all, which is just scary to think that people trusted him with $36 billion, or that he's just got really bad advice, or he's completely warped at the moment. He doesn't know what is happening.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even fathom being in his position, to be quite frank. It's an unreal set of circumstances that he's being put through. I mean, but I still think he's just full of shit. Like, I don't think he knows what he's doing or what he's really done. Like, I genuinely think, because I mean, the thing that bothers me is, like, even the day before, like, he literally put out a tweet that was like, no, don't worry, this is this, that, and the other. It's like, no, you're full of shit and you're fucking lying. And it's just like, dude, I'm just sick of that shit. I don't like these bad actors anymore. It's just like, this guy claimed that he was like, oh, I'm just this young guy and I live in a I have a $200 million home, but I drive a Toyota Corolla, this, that, and the other. And it's just like, I feel like it was all a fucking facade at this point. And it's just like, it's annoying.
Yeah, so he said a week ago that everyone's safe and backed 1-to-1. Then he says, look, FTX is not looking great, but FTX US is perfect. You're all fine. And now, FTX US is also done. So here we are. Where we are now is that FTX and all the 137 companies under Alameda have been put into voluntary liquidation, including FTX US, and now it's going to be handled by the lawyers. And the lawyer who's handling it is the lawyer who handled the Enron. You remember when Enron went down all those years ago? John J. Rowell III. So he was brought in years ago to oversee the liquidation of collapsed energy company Enron following its accounting scandal. And the good thing about this guy is they call him the Pitbull, because he doesn't leave anything to chance. He goes over everything, and then he goes after every cent to try and recover it on behalf of the shareholders and the customers. So I think this is actually a really good name to be coming into the space. Obviously, it's sad that we are in a space where we need a name like this to come in to try recover funds. But CEO John J. Rowell III has come in to try and handle the bankruptcy, right? Any thoughts there, Andres?
Oh shit! Hello, can you hear me?
Now I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had myself muted. No, yeah, I totally agree, man, 100%. But I'm not too familiar. I was gonna ask you because I was a little embarrassed. Who is he?
So he's a very high, like a attorney or one more than a lawyer. We call them attorneys. I don't know if it's the same in the States. And he basically is a bankruptcy attorney. So when big companies go bankrupt and file this, they send attorneys in, and they basically are forensic attorneys. They figure out where the money's gone and try and claw back or hold on to any assets or money that is still there, to stop it going down further, so that they can hopefully make good to as many of the creditors as possible.
Got it. Got you. So yeah, now I
So
understand why you're like, oh yeah, now that makes sense.
yeah.
But
So he's a really big name for doing that. Obviously, in crypto, nothing to do with crypto, but a big name in doing that. So I believe he can be fully trusted to do a good job there, right?
I mean, at this point, it seems like it's a lost cause, to be quite frank. I'm not sure how they're going to recover from this. But yeah, I mean, exactly what you said. It's going to get the investors back their money and then the shareholders. But what about the retail investors? And that's the part that I feel like, how much are
That's
they
the
actually
sad
going to
part.
help them out?
Yeah. And even if they are able to recover, some or most, if we're very lucky, it's going to take years. Like I'm talking potentially 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
yeah, I mean, this thing is just, if we just have a look here at Alameda Research, it takes us nicely into our next one. Just to try and give you guys an understanding. I mean, this is just a basic Zen diagram that was posted of some of the holdings. I mean, I try to follow it. So you got the founders at the top here. Here's Sam Bankman-Fried over here. And here you can see Alameda Research, but then there's also Alameda Research Ventures. And then there's also Hilltop and another one, Paperbird. And then from Ventures goes to Alameda Research Ventures Ltd. And from there, it goes into, I mean, it's just absolutely insane. And this is not all of it. I saw this tweet today, Blockworks listed all of the companies under Alameda Research. I mean, and this is a list of them.
That's a lot.
Yeah, there's 137 if I'm not mistaken. So we got Blockfolio, Blue Ridge, a whole lot of ones that start with BT, Clifton Bay Investments, Cottonwood, just in case anything stands out to us, Deck Technologies, Deep Creek, Digital Custody, then all these different FTX ones. I mean, this is crazy. FTX Canada,
Look at all those FTX. Oh my god.
Europe, Hong Kong, Japan, marketplace, products, propriety, services, structured. So look, I would imagine on the FTX side of things, some of them probably were formed to do certain things, right? But might not be being utilized much. But definitely ones like FTX Canada, Japan, like the country one, Switzerland, all of those are going to be affected. FTX Turkey. I mean, this is just mad. Yeah. Ledger Prime, right? And they actually came out with a statement today as well, which I can show you, saying that they are okay. So that's the other thing to remember. I mean, if we think, here's that diagram we were looking at, if we think to ourselves and we say, hold on, logically speaking, most of these companies Alameda Research invested in, what does that mean? They mean that they gave the company, Alameda Research gave that company money in return for board seats, shares, and possibly that company's token. So let's just talk about Yuga Labs, because we're all familiar with Board Ape Yacht Club and whatever. So let's just say, for example, and this happened, Alameda Research invested in Yuga Labs. What happened was they gave Yuga Labs a certain amount of money, and Yuga Labs, in response, gave them a small interest in the company. And possibly they would be paid back. So Alameda would be paid back in ApeCoin instead of in US dollar. That's what I would imagine. I don't know that for a fact. So how is that going to affect Bored Ape? If anything, it's actually positive, because now they've got the money already up front because they were venture capitalists. Alameda invested in them and gave them money up front. And now they might not have to repay them so soon, right? So I don't know that it's going to have a huge impact on the companies where Alameda was investing in as a venture partner, because there it's actually, and that's where you might see some money come back, because let's just say with Yuga, and I don't know the terms, Yuga might have said, okay, we will give you your money back in ApeCoin equivalent 3 years down the line or 5 years down the line, which is usually what these type of deals are. So now in 3 years, the bankrupt FTX is going to get in, X billion worth of ApeCoin that they can then use to pay off, the people that are owed. So I think from that side, if Alameda invested in a company and gave them money up front in return for money or shares in the future, that shouldn't have a material impact on that project or that company.
What are
Just
your
one
thoughts on
thing to
that?
say.
What are your
Just
thoughts on
one thing to
Bitcoin?
say there.
I'll go for it.
One caveat to that is that a lot of projects that were given money by Alameda used FTX as their exchange to hold their goods because they trusted them. And what better? My venture partner who just gave me $2 billion represents FTX. I'll keep my money there. And that is potentially where we're going to see the dominoes fall. And that is also where the Solana worry is also coming in, because a lot of the Solana projects, because remember, one of Alameda's investments is Solana and Magic Eden and a lot of Solana-based stuff. And that's where we're going to see it come in. So let's pause there, and I want to hear what you feel.
I was just curious on that. That is a very interesting thought of the way that they invested and how they could come back with ApeCoin. But where do you see ApeCoin in about 3 to 5 years?
I mean, that's anyone's guess. Anyone's guess. So that's what I'm saying. It could be that in 3 to 5 years, everyone's come to the point that, look, NFTs were just the tip of the iceberg as far as what the technology can do, and it's worth absolutely nothing. We're all now living where everything's on the blockchain, and we love that. We love that technology, but NFTs are worthless, and ApeCoin could be zero, or it could be known to be one of the OGs. They could have a metaverse where everyone in the world is busy having meetings in, called the other side, and ApeCoin could be as much as Ethereum or Bitcoin. Who knows? But they've got a lot of those investments, and when they made those investments, they expect those companies to have huge value in the future. Otherwise, they wouldn't have invested. However, we now know that it was SPF thinking that, and when I show you some of the coins that he's holding and how much, I cannot believe it, and I'll show you now.
I want to see that. Yeah, I didn't see
will.
that.
I'll show you. All right, so let's have a look. But I mean, yeah, it's anyone's guess, right? No one can tell you. But there is a chance that some of them are valuable one day, All right, so where are we up to over here? Here's another, this is what, so that was the FTX subsidiaries. This is a website that takes you through all of the investments that they did. And you can see the different coins that they had investments
look how much
in.
BNB they have.
108 million. I don't know, because there were some weird transactions that were happening over the last couple of days for huge amounts, where our friend Mr. Fried might have been trying to get as much out as he could, right? But yeah, I mean, here you can see the names. Also, Ethereum, 166 million. Solana, 491 million. Meta, we all know what's happening there, 83 million.
Where's his Dogecoin?
Dogecoin, let's have it.
Yeah,
Doesn't show it here.
Was it on the first page or second page?
No, it doesn't show it. Yeah, but look, I don't know that this is a completely exclusive list. I mean, there's 44 pages here, right? Let's see if we can show 100 per page.
I mean, I would assume that it would have more and like just all the random stuff that like
they
just
do.
Made, like,
I'll show you.
deals,
Yeah, I think they're only showing the notable one. While that's loading, let's have a look. I think it was this tweet over here. Okay, so for assets, Alameda on paper had 14 billion of assets against 8 billion of liabilities. So that's a net positive of 6.6 billion. But for that 6.6 billion, 3.6 billion was FTT token, which is now dropped to $2 or something. So, and it's probably going to go to zero. So you could pretty much write off 3.6 billion. So they're left with 3 billion, of which 2.1 billion of that 3 billion is FTT collateral, which you can also write off, right? And then they've got 292 million in Solana and 863 million in that locked SOL, which is what you were speaking about, Andres, that you said was due to be unlocked soon and then was paused and not paused and so on.
I mean, if they unlock that, man, SOL really has the shot of going to zero.
Yeah, and that's why I think they not for now.
Because if they do that, man, that's like, I can't even imagine what that would do. Like, it's a SOL's already tanked in itself, and then I mean, I don't even know what life we would have left in it.
That's a billion, over $1 billion of SOL, which I don't know what the market cap is right now, but represents, as we said earlier, around 10%. At different times, it's been as high as 15% of the total supply. And anyone who knows anything knows if you dump 15% of the total supply, you can do exactly that, right, Andres? You can take it to zero.
Yeah,